Hi there, boys and girls. How are you all doing out there? I hope you are doing well, and I hope you are doing better than me. I've lost my voice recently, and it's only just coming back, so I've got this weird husky tone about me, but not gonna stop me putting out some videos. So here we are with another Ask Brucey, and this is a question I get asked all the time, and it's one that I find quite difficult to answer. Well, the actual answer is quite simple, but when giving advice to other people, the answer can be quite tricky. So the question is, what DAW do you use? Well, personally, most of the time I use, as you can see in the background there, Logic. And I am currently on 10.4.6, I think, or 0.7, whatever the latest one is. And what are the reasons for that? Well, primarily, I've been doing my music for technology for more years than I care to remember. I came across a version of C-Lab Notator. Go look that up if you're not sure how old that is, because I don't want to look, because I'm sure it's very old. Which was the foundations of what became Logic, and then Logic went to both being on the PC and then the Mac, and then it went Mac only. So I have been along for the Logic journey since the very beginning, pretty much. And that is the primary reason why I use Logic as my main DAW. So notice there I said main. I do also use other DAWs. Some of the reason being, from a teaching perspective, I teach Pro Tools, so I know how to use Pro Tools. I have also used Pro Tools in professional environments. So that is the reason why I always say that Pro Tools is up there as well. And I do like using Pro Tools, particularly for mixing, and this is the argument I always give about the two. I feel that Logic works with my creative brain and Pro Tools works with my engineering brain, and they are both quite different. I hate writing music in Pro Tools with a passion. It just doesn't work for me. And I love writing music in Logic. Conversely, I hate doing some audio editing in Logic, and I love doing it in Pro Tools. But it is horses for courses, and of course I'm very fortunate, I understand, to be able to have both. But it doesn't end just there. There was a period in the early 2000s where I switched over to using Digital Performer, and I really like Digital Performer. I've got a soft spot for Digital Performer, and every couple of years I get the latest version of Digital Performer to see where it's up to, and I do a few little projects in there. It's just a little bit clunky for me. I understand the pros and cons, and there are some great features like the chunks feature. The chunks feature is pretty awesome, and only if other DAWs had that, that would be amazing. But it's not enough to keep me there. I dabble with it more than anything else. Occasionally Cubase. Now Cubase hasn't really been around for me for a while. The reason that I have a soft spot for Cubase was back in the early 90s when I started my career, particularly working in music shops. Cubase was what we had, and Cubase was what we were selling. So I was fortunate enough to be trained up and did some Steinberg, as it was then. I guess owned by Yamaha now, some of their training days, so that I could sell Cubase. So I can pretty much get around Cubase, but after, I guess, the end of the 90s, I never really owned it, and I just kept using Logic more than anything else. The other thing why I feel this is an interesting conversation, because there is another DAW out there which I have both taught on and used on some very, very large-scale projects, and that is Reaper. Reaper continues to surprise me, and I feel more and more that I want to take it up. There are a few things that prevent me from doing that, and that's probably user error. I do find the editing a little bit clunky compared to some of the ways that I'm used to doing it with, say, Logic or Pro Tools. I believe there are ways that you can change some of these behaviors. I've looked into some of those, and I just don't like the way things get selected on the timeline, but that is probably user error. I think it is the one to watch, and it's certainly one that I am really focusing on spending more time with in the future, because it is ridiculously cheap. It comes with a ton of plugins. It is so customizable. It's beyond belief. I've had a few demos from people who are running it showing me some of the things you can program into it and do, and make your life so much easier. So very excited to have a look at Reaper. Plus it is a tiny install. You can run it from a memory stick, and it doesn't seem to crash. I've recently been working on a project where we had over 1,000 tracks of audio running, and Reaper didn't even blink an eye. It just kept going. Pretty amazing. For that reason alone, I think I need to give it a bit more time. But to answer the overall question we got there in the end, what DAW do I use? I use Logic. I use Logic because I know it. I can work faster in it than some of the other DAWs. And when you're using it day in, day out, every second counts. So the more, if you can do things a second faster or even half a second faster in a DAW, that adds up over the period of a day or a week. So there you go. That is the DAW that I am using for whatever value it is to you, and hopefully some of the reasons why I use it. Hope you found that useful. I've been Brucey, and I will certainly catch you later. Take care of yourself.